Hello guys and gals, and recently we've gotten some news regarding James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, even though a lot of news has been coming out recently because, the movie's only a month away. And I just figured I'd talk about it, just do a little topic on this because I find this very interesting. Now, of course, I am a fan of The Suicide Squad. I'm a huge DC fan in general, but I've loved The Suicide Squad for a long time because, of course, seeing them in the Justice League Unlimited episode. Of course, they can't go all out with that since it's a cartoon, but they were in that. But I think what really got me into them was the animated movie Batman Assault on Arkham. Ever since then, I've been a huge fan of the concept. So I just really like it. It's one of my favorite things from DC. I just find it so interesting. And of course, this is the second live action movie for the Suicide Squad, the fourth total, since there's two animated and then one live action, and then this will be the second live action. So hard to believe that there's been four total movies for this. And James Gunn, of course, very vocal guy on Twitter in a good way, not in a bad way. And he, surprisingly, this kind of came out of left field. I don't think anyone was really expecting this. Although he does answer fan questions a lot, but somebody asked if there were characters that he wanted in the film and, ended up getting cut, which, of course, that would be a yes. But I don't think anyone really expected him to go into depth about the characters that did get cut, but he did, and that is, of course, the discussion for this video. And that is the thing with the Suicide Squad is, there's a wide variety of characters that you can use, and it's just, and as you can tell, he used a very unique set of characters. Of course, I don't know most of them. I'm sure that's the same for everybody else, but that's the whole point. They're supposed to be B-list, C-list, even Z-list villains. So Weasel looks the most interesting to me for sure. He just looks like a monstrosity, but you never know. So, of course, before we get into that topic, I'm just going to talk about real quick about the ones, even though I'm sure everybody knows by now, I'm just real quick going to talk about the ones that are returning and not returning from the 2016 version, and then we'll go into the characters that James Gunn tweeted about not bringing into the Suicide Squad, although he has left the door open for there to be, if he's available to do a sequel, that he might bring them back, since he said he had such a great time working with WB. Obviously not all the other directors have been able to say that, but in his case, he apparently had a great time. So if he does come back and does another Suicide Squad movie, assuming that this one does great, then he might use these characters. Okay, and real quick, as mentioned previously, we're just going to talk about the 2016 Suicide Squad, which I'm sure some people don't want to talk about, but I just wanted to go over the characters that are returning and not returning real quick, since we're talking about all these different characters. Now, of course, 2016 Suicide Squad was very hyped up, probably the most hyped I've ever been for a movie, but, same with Justice League. It had a lot of behind-the-scenes issues, and there's still, a chant for the Ayer cut, which will that happen? I don't see it happening, but I hope it does. I think every director should have their vision shown, but I don't know. It's all up to AT&T. So, of course, with the 2016 Suicide Squad, everyone returning from the 2016 version. Returning, we have, of course, Amanda Waller. Viola Davis is perfect cast. She's amazing. We have Rick Flag. Joel Kinnaman's coming back. He's a solid character. Of course, Rick Flag is a big character in the comics. He pretty much always leads them on the mission. Well, not always, but typically, good amount of the time he leads them on missions. You have Jai Courtney coming back as Boomerang, which I think everyone can agree one of the better parts of the 2016 movie. I'm glad that he's back, even though it doesn't look like he's going to last very long, which kind of sucks because he is a really fun character. And at last, what a surprise, you have Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, another great cast. And she's another character that's on the squad quite a bit. Now, I'm also only including characters that survived, so that's why you're not going to see El Diablo or Slipknot or whatever. So that's why I didn't include them. If I forgot a character, I'm sorry, but I think these are the only ones. Now, not returning, most of them, not a big deal. The only one that's kind of a big deal was Deadshot, and I don't really remember, but if I recall correctly, I think it's because Will Smith either had a scheduling issue or, he wanted to do another movie, and that was the scheduling conflict, and so that's why he couldn't do it. But they're going to leave it open for him to come back. Maybe he will. Who knows? Killer Croc, not coming back. They swapped him out for King Shark, which King Shark's pretty much always the muscle. Killer Croc he looked good in my opinion, but it's just, I don't know. Didn't really like him. Enchantress, I think everybody's happy with that. Joker, once again, I think a lot of people are happy with that. And then Katana, I think she kind of deserved more, but it is what it is. So, of course, now let's go ahead and talk about all the characters that James Gunn tweeted about cutting from the Suicide Squad. All right, so as mentioned previously, James Gunn is very vocal on Twitter in a good way Had a fan ask, are you able to reveal any villains that almost made the cut for the Suicide Squad? And he replied with, when I first considered taking the job of writing the Suicide Squad, I kept a file folder of characters I was considering. Here are just a few of many that didn't make the cut, and as he says at the end there, for now. So he's leaving the door open if he does come back. And of course, with the first tweet for the 4 photos, you have Livewire, I believe that's Punch, Black Spider, and Deathstroke. So of course, out of all of those 4, Deathstroke is the biggest one. Livewire would have been very interesting, throwing some more female characters. Punch, I don't know that much about Punch. I think that's kind of a newer character, although I could be wrong. I'm sorry if I am, but it seems like she is. And Black Spider, I mentioned previously, Assault on Arkham. I absolutely love that movie, animated Suicide Squad movie, and of course he's in that one, and I thought he was great in that one. Now, my only thing is that if they would have done Black Spider, please don't have him shooting webs, because then everybody would probably be making jokes like he's Spider-Man, just have him be like he is in the animated movie. That's perfect. And then Deathstroke, it's like, please, man, I really want to see Deathstroke. I mean, we've only got snippets of him in live action. Like, I want to see him in action instead of just these couple-minute scenes, right? And I just think Joe Manganiello is just so good as Deathstroke. Just even the little bit that we get of him, I think he is so good. I hope we get to see more of him, so hopefully if there's a sequel, he'll pop up, or if we ever get that Ben Affleck Batman movie, of course, that was supposed to be like a Batman v Deathstroke movie. Dude, we need to see that. Like, I'm sorry, but we need to. So, of course, those are the first 4 characters. Then James Gunn goes on to say, every character in the Suicide Squad was chosen for a purpose, great or small, and although I love many of these other characters, they didn't serve the story quite as well. Now, okay, I'm blanking on the one in the top right. I apologize for that, but I believe I remember the other 3. Of course, top left is Man-Bat. Bottom left is Chemo, and bottom right is KJ Beast, or KG Beast. Sorry, I think I said KJ. KG Beast. And yeah, I'm sorry I don't remember the gal on the top right, but I'm sure somebody will point that out. Now, of course, KG Beast, he was also in Assault on Arkham. He has also appeared in the DCEU, so he could have come back. He just had a very brief appearance in BVS or whatever, very small part. He was in that, though. The bottom left, Chemo, I'm not sure. I don't know that much about him. And then, of course, top left, you have Kirk Langstrom, a.k.a. Man-Bat, which I think, I'm a huge Batman fan, and all the Batman fans out there, I think, have been saying the same thing, that we want a live-action Man-Bat. It's like, I just have been a fan of his since Batman the Animated Series, that first episode. It's just such an interesting character. But I can understand how it could be tricky with Man-Bat, honestly. So I can understand that. And then, yeah, I don't know who the gal is on the top right. I'm blanking on her, and I apologize for that. And at last, with the last tweet that he replied with, I am, of course, open to using them in the future, and there are many more wonderful DC characters where these came from. See the Suicide Squad in theaters next month, or whatever, because it's at this point, it's like literally a month away. And the last 4 characters that he shared with us are Solomon Grundy, the Rainbow Creature, Gunhawk, and I believe that is Knockout in the bottom right. I could be wrong, but I believe that is Knockout. It's like, that's the thing. He's choosing such obscure characters, and that's what makes it great, honestly. I do really appreciate that. Solomon Grundy, I mean, isn't really obscure. He is kind of a very well-known character. But the other 3 that he shared, well, I guess Knockout's kind of big too. So the other 2, though, the Rainbow Creature, it's like, could you imagine that in live action? That would just be so weird. And then Gunhawk, I mean, I don't know too much about him, but it just looks like a type of mercenary. So that's very interesting. It's like, I like that he knows this much about the lore. I do appreciate that a lot. And that he said he has a whole folder on all these characters, that there's many more that he had in mind, but ended up cutting and went with all these other characters. So that's the list of at least the ones that he shared on Twitter of all the characters that he did not bring into the Suicide Squad. But of course, he leaves the door open that if he comes back for a sequel, that he might use any, any of these characters. Alright, so out of all the characters that James Gunn shared with us that he cut from the Suicide Squad, although, as mentioned previously, if he does come back for a sequel, he might bring them back. Which one did you want to see the most? And are you looking forward to the Suicide Squad? Do you think it's going to be good? Bad? Do you think there will be even more sequels? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, I'd love to see you all next time.